In the Norse creation myth, the sky over your head is a dead giant's skull. 4 dwarves hold it up at the corners, one for each compass direction. The mountains are his bones. The sea is his blood. The first thing the gods did, before any of this existed, was commit a murder. His name was Ymir. When Odin and his 2 brothers killed him, the blood came out in a flood that drowned nearly every other giant alive. Nearly. One survivor, Bergelmir, rode out the flood in a vessel the poem calls a Luther. The first flood did not erase the giant line. Bergelmir endures, and the enemy returns. So the order of the world is made out of the body of its first enemy, not built near the corpse, built from it. The dirt and the stone and the dome of the sky, all of it is Ymir, rearranged. Which raises a question the story seems to circle, without ever quite saying. What does it cost to build a world out of an act of killing? The Norse texts give an answer, and it isn't subtle. The same shape shows up in a story from the other side of the world, one written down more than 2,000 years before the Eddas. It starts with a king who set out to make his name by cutting down a forest no one was meant to touch. Start with how total it is. The 13th century prose Edda, written by the Icelander Snorri Sturluson, lays out the inventory like a builder's manifest. Flesh became soil. Bones became mountains. Teeth and the splinters of broken bones became rocks and scree. The blood became the lakes and the sea. The skull became the sky. The brains were thrown up into the air and became the clouds. One piece matters more than the rest. The gods took Ymir's eyebrows and built a wall from them, a fortification ringing the human world to keep the giants out. They called the enclosure Midgard, which means the barrier protecting you from the monsters is built out of the monster. The defense and the threat are the same material. That is the first sign of the problem. The Norse poets never called this an extraction debt. That reading is mine. But the shape is theirs. You build an order out of what you destroyed, and what you destroyed does not disappear. The giants the flood drowned were not erased. Bergelmir's line endures, and the cost of the founding sits there with a name and a genealogy, waiting. Move the camera south to Mesopotamia and back more than 2,000 years. The Epic of Gilgamesh, the standard version preserved on clay tablets in the library of the Assyrian king Ashurbanipal, now in the British Museum. On tablet 5, the king of Uruk and his friend Enkidu travel to the cedar forest. The forest has a guardian, a giant named Humbaba, appointed by the storm god Enlil to protect it. Gilgamesh and Enkidu kill him and cut the cedars down. From the tallest cedar they cut a great door, meant for Enlil's own temple, and raft their victory back down the Euphrates. The taking succeeds completely. Then the cost arrives. There's a second killing. The 2 friends go on to slay the bull of heaven as well. On tablet 7, the gods convene, and for the deaths of Humbaba and the bull, they decide one of the 2 must die. They choose Enkidu. The one person Gilgamesh loves sickens and dies, and the king is left holding the cost of everything they took. The grief breaks him so completely he spends the rest of the epic chasing immortality and failing. Across traditions that never touched, the same pattern keeps surfacing. A guarded piece of the older world, an act of violence to take it, an order built from what's left, and a cost that comes due in whatever the builders can least afford to lose. For Gilgamesh, it's Enkidu, and then his own piece. For the Norse, the bill is the world itself. Go back to the sky. It has been a corpse this whole time. propped up at four corners by four dwarves who were never going to hold it forever. When Ragnarok comes, the giants cross the wall made of Ymir's eyebrows. The sky splits. The world built from the body sinks back into the sea it bled. Ragnarok reads, usually, as an apocalypse that arrives from outside. Seen through the founding, it looks more like a consequence. The order built from the body returns to the state it came from. These stories don't prove that civilization is doomed by what it takes. They dramatize an old and stubborn fear, that building order by breaking something older creates an obligation you can't simply wave away. In the Voluspa, Osiris tells Odin exactly what is coming. He doesn't look away. He gathers the slain warriors into his hall and readies them for the last battle. And none of the preparation buys him a way out. And then the part the apocalypse stories usually leave out. The world burns and sinks into the sea. But it doesn't end there. A new earth rises, green, out of the water, and a few survivors walk back into it. Which leaves the hardest question the myth can ask. That new world is a new beginning, and every beginning has to be built from something. So is it built clean? Or is every foundation just a fresh loan against its own ending?